Welcome back, folks, and I can say it again. It's here, it's Brody, and this is the bottom 10, November 6, 2022. Thanks a lot for joining us. The 146 amazing fans of Magic the Gathering who love the game as much as I do. Thanks for tuning in, new subscribers. The Freetrions, Smash Jackson, Garen Jotter, Dusty Cully, Murray Cooper, Tyler Harrison, Tyler Friesen, Kyle Mears, Coin Pomeroy, and the MTG Moxman. The Patreons, Earl of Drummer. Thanks for tuning in, and of all of you folks tuning in on The Juice. The Juice is in the house. And the house is in the juice. I've really got an exciting list to bring to you folks today, and we're back for the very first time since Magic 30. I can't do that until me and my cousin Jimmy give this card a dishonorable mention. Firestorm. It was coming in right at the bottom end of the reserve list the last time we did this. Nobody cares about this card. Which brings us to the number 10 card on our list. This card's a creature card, Hakim, Loreweaver. He's from the Mirage block, a 2/4 flyer for 2 blue and 3. He costs you $1.53 to get a copy of Hakim into the collection, or €1, 80 euro cent. What does this wizard human legend do? Well, in an enchantment build, could you imagine this? For 2 blue, put target creature enchantment card from your graveyard on Hakim Loreweaver. Treat the enchantment as though it were just played. Use this ability only during your upkeep and only if there are no enchantments on Hakim. For 2 blue, tap, destroy all enchantments on Hakim. So in an enchantment build with an amazing art on this card, this fits right in a commander build of a 100 card deck. And he's way down at the bottom end of the reserve list, so we're buying it. Which brings us to the number 9 card on our list this week. An Ice Age card, Spoils of War. A black card that'll cost you $1.60 to get it into your collection, or €1, 42 euro cent. This baby's been bottoming down in price, but what does it do? For 1 black and X at sorcery speed, you can put X+1/+1 counters on any number of target creatures distributed any way you choose, where X is equal to the number of creatures and artifacts in target opponent's graveyard. This is the fun part. Ib Halfheart, Goblin Tactician. This is the fun part of Spoils of War. This art on this card is amazing, and I don't know about you, but Brody likes just about anything that has anything to do with putting +1/+1 counters on things. Which brings us to the next card on our list this week, number 8. An old school card from the Fallen Empires block. That's right, any new up-and-coming old school players, pay attention to this card, River Merfolk. $1.61 to get a River Merfolk into your collection, or €2, 37 euro cent. Why do we like this card? It's cheap, it's from the old school block, it's 1993-94 legal, it's a Fallen Empires card, a 2/1 Merfolk for 2 blue, that's pretty typical, and you can pay 1 to give it Mountain Walk until end of turn. So this card is super relevant, even in Merfolk builds against red players. Drifting in icy mountain streams near their goblin and orcish foes, the River Merfolk were known for their stoicism. Sapadian Empires Volume 5. That's bringing us up to the next card on our list. The next card on our list at number 7, an enchantment card. I'm stoked to find this card at the bottom end of the reserve list. No one's talking about it, but we're buying it for $1.77, or €1, 98 euro cent. We can get a copy of Earthlink into our collection. It's got a beautiful gold border, and it's from the Ice Age block. A green, a red, a black, and 3 for this amazing enchantment. During your upkeep, pay 2 colorless mana or bury Earthlink. Whenever a creature is put into the graveyard from play, that creature's controller sacrifices a land. Ignore this effect if that player controls no lands. Holy moly, what? Okay, so this card is a board wipe. If you want to play land destruction in a multiplayer game, you don't have any creatures on the board, and you wrath, everybody who loses creatures is going to pay heftily for it. There's got to be a way to build around this. It's pretty much as good as it gets for power when combined with a board wipe. And it's way down at the bottom end of the reserve list, and no one wants to play Earthlink, but we do, so we're buying it. Which brings us to the next card on our list. At instant speed, coming in at number 6, Prismatic Lace from the Mirage block. I remember when this card was printed, and it was causing a lot of chatter in the Magic community with Sleight of Mind and Magical Hack and all the laces as a thing. For $1.87, you can get a copy of Prismatic Lace in your collection, or €2.64. Why do we like this card? It's instant speed, it's 1 blue, target permanent becomes the color or colors of your choice. Cost to tap, maintain, or use an ability of that permanent remain unchanged. This is a super relevant combat trick. You can activate this, and when there's a creature or a lord on the board that gives a buff to all creatures in a certain color, you can change the color of a permanent to remove that or give it to yours. This Prismatic Lace was a playable card once upon a time, and it was even coming in at over $10 not too long ago, but it's way at the bottom end of the reserve list. So we're buying it. Which brings us to the next card on our list, coming in at number 5. A card I'm super stoked to bring you folks. $1.93, you can get a copy of Prefferred Selection into your collection, or €1.24. Let's read this card. 2 green and 2 from the Mirage block. At the beginning of your draw phase, look at the top 2 cards of your library and choose one. Put that card on the bottom of your library, or sacrifice Prefferred Selection and pay 4 to draw the card. What? So this is like card selection off the top of your library, and before you even draw a card for the turn, you get to look at the top 2, and then it's pretty much scry it to the bottom if you don't like what you see, and then you can choose one of the 2. So it's a little bit of card selection for the collection, and it's way at the bottom of the reserve list, so we're buying it. Which brings us to the next card on our list. I like this card. Number 4 off the bottom of the reserve list this weekend is Wellspring from the Mirage block. For $1.94, you can get a copy of this in your collection, or €1.91. This card is a Selesnya enchantment, and it's really interesting. Let's read the card. For one white, 1 green, and 1 other, you can enchant a land, probably your opponent's land. When it comes into play, you gain control of enchanted land. At the end of each of your turns, you lose control of enchanted lands, and at the beginning of each of your turns, you gain control of enchanted lands. So this borrows your opponent's land. If you're playing a multicolored build, and somebody's definitely going to have some choice lands on the board in a 4-player game, this borrows the best one, but you get to give it back. Now, if you have a way of sacrificing lands, or you're playing cards like Rainbow Veil where you need a way to get rid of your lands, Wellspring is a land control deck for Selesnya, and it's way at the bottom end of the reserve list, and no one wants to play it, so let's pick up a copy for the collection. Which brings us to the next card on our list, a card that works with Wellspring. I'm happy to see creatures out at the bottom end of the reserve list. For $2.11, or €2.04, you can get a copy of the Exalted Dragon in your collection from Exodus. And since it is a dragon, you guessed it, it's a 5/5, it flies, it costs 2 white and 4, and each turn Exalted Dragon cannot attack unless you sacrifice a land. If dragons excel in anything more than vanity, it is greed. Well, with a copy of the Exalted Dragon in white and the Wellspring in Selesnya, you can see you're putting a build together where enchantment recursion isn't that difficult. You could loop the Wellspring, sacrificing copies of your opponent's lands to the Exalted Dragon, and just do it again. So the Wellspring seems like a perfect feeding place for the Exalted Dragon, and he's way down at the bottom end of the reserve list where no one cares about it, so we're buying it. Which brings us to the number 2 card on our list this week, a creature card, another Fallen Empires card, and it's good to go in the set of the old school format, 93-94. The Vodallion KNights cost you $1.13 to get into your collection, or €1.68. Why do we like this card? It reminds me of a card like Thunder Spirit. For 2 colored mana and a colorless, it fills the 2/2 flying first strike spot. It's 2 blue and it's 1, and it's a Merfolk. It's got first strike on it, and you can pay 1 blue to give it flying until end of turn, except it cannot attack your opponent unless they control an island. Well, in a very blue dominant format, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Bury Vodallion KNights if you control no islands. Fear the Knight leaping from the water into the air. Weapon ready. This card's way down at the bottom end of the reserve list. It's super relevant in Merfolk, 93, 94, and old school formats, so we're buying it. Which brings us to the number 1 card on our list this week. I got to give a special thank you to everybody who's tuning in on the channel. The Freetrons, Johan Matuzzi, everybody who joins in on the live stream, Coach, the Earl of Drummer, Savannah Lion, and everybody who makes these videos possible. The number 1 card this week is Phantasmal Sphere from Alliances. Everything on this list this week is under $2. So if you want to think nice and you want to think twice about getting some stuff off the bottom end of the reserve list, the Phantasmal Sphere will cost you $1.20 to get it into your collection, or €1, 45 cent. Brody loves the Ozlet and any cards that put 1/1 counters on creatures. So check this out. For 1 blue and 1, you can summon this Phantasm that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on Phantasmal Sphere. During your upkeep, pay 1 for each of those 1/1 counters, or bury Phantasmal Sphere. So each and every turn that goes by, you put a counter on it, it costs you a mana. You can build this boy up as big as you can pay for it. But get this, if Phantasmal Sphere leaves play, put an orb counter into play under target opponent's control. Treat this as a star blue creature with flying, where star is equal to the number of those +1/+1 counters on Phantasmal Sphere. So like in Alliances, we weren't playing Commander, but this card might be overlooked. In a politics game where you can build up a 0/1 Phantasm with counters, then sack it, it dies, move the counters onto the Oz list or any other creature, give your partner in crime an orb counter that's as big as that +1/+1 Phantasm you just had was. This card is amazing. For $1.20, it's way down at the bottom end of the reserve list, so we're buying it. Well, thanks to everybody who's tuning in. Smash Jackson, Garrett Jotter, Dusty Cully, Murray Cooper, Tyler Harrison, Tyler Friesen, Coin Pomeroy, Kyle Mears, Garen Jotter, and the MTG Moxmon, the Earl of Drummer, and Superfast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again real soon.